be there to intervene and attend the situation. So that's what happened, but there was no need for killing innocent people, those who are weak.
Mr. Powell said authorities have launched an investigation to bring the suspect into book.
Investigation is going on to find out to bring the culprit into the books, because this is unfortunate for people who are inside need to be killed. So we as a government, we are serious about this to find out the culprit or the one who made this unfortunate killing what he did. So they are still going around and trying to find out.
The Ministry of Health says at least 143 frontline health workers have contracted coronavirus since the outbreak of the pandemic in the country. Some of the healthcare workers are believed to have contracted the virus during the contact tracing. Dr. Angelo Guop is the manager of COVID-19 Emergency Operations Center.
In Central Equatoria, we have 100 healthcare workers got infected since the beginning of this pandemic. Eastern Equatoria, 9 healthcare workers. Western Equatoria, 2 healthcare workers. Northern Bahr el Ghazal, 1 healthcare worker. Western Bahr el Ghazal, 0. Lake State, 0. Jungule, 10. Unity State, 0. Upper Nile, 7. Warab, 0. Abia Administrative Area, 13 healthcare workers got infected. Ruang Administrative Area, 1. And Pibor Administrative Area, 0. So if you put those figures together, this will bring 143 healthcare workers got infected since the beginning of this pandemic.
Dr. Guop was speaking during the weekly COVID-19 press briefing in Juba yesterday. However, he did not disclose how many healthcare workers have died due to the virus. So far, the cumulative number of cases confirmed in South Sudan is 3,749. This comes after the Public Health Laboratory confirmed 7 new cases in the last 24 hours. The Director General for Preventive Health Care Services at the National Ministry of Health, Dr. John Romuno, advises the public to continue adhering to the COVID-19 preventive measures.
The global situation still remains very high. The risk is very, very, very high. Therefore, we reiterate that people should continue to strictly observe public health measures. Any suspected case should be reported to the nearest health facility or call toll-free number 6666. We should observe keeping distance of at least 2 meters from other people, and we wash our hands regularly with water and soap or sanitize our hands with approved sanitizer. And we continue to advise wearing a face mask or closed face in public.
According to the Ministry of Health, cumulative number of deaths remain at 63, with 3,505 recovered cases. This is iRadio News. The Secretary of the Academic Staff Association at the University of Bahr el Ghazal has criticized the university administration for conducting examinations poorly and without observing coronavirus guidelines. The examination started on the 4th of this month and ended yesterday. Joseph Ohure said despite many lecturers being on strike, the university administration went ahead and conducted examinations for the students. He spoke to iRadio this morning from Wow.
This examination was not properly done as expected because the students were not made to sit as expected, but the students sat in a very congested way. So it was just a matter of that the examination must go. That the students were too much congested, so there was no secrecy to the examination. The strike was already declared, so we had wanted that this examination should be put pending until the dues of the academic staff when the salaries are paid. The guidelines of coronavirus is not even being adhered to. There is nobody even caring about that. You know, students were just kept in one class, a room which is consisting of about 400 students sitting for examination at the same time. In one class, over 400 in a class. And even there are no materials like washing soap or what they call face mask and so forth. Anything that has to do with corona is completely ignored in this university.
You are still listening to iRadio News. The Minister of Information says the Cabinet has approved the social insurance bills for private sector employees. The bill will be tabled before the Transitional National Legislative Assembly when it is reconstituted. Michael McCoy was addressing the media on Friday after the Cabinet Council of Ministers meeting.
This social insurance bill is meant to cover the private sector and all the other organizations that are not covered by the pensions fund. Pensions funds which is now operational covers the public sector, and this social insurance fund covers the private sector. This is in order to ensure the life of those who are working also in the private sector, because in the private sector you ought to work and there are deductions which are made, and these deductions will also contribute towards future insurance. So it is a good boost for the employees of the private sector, because now their life is insured, their future is insured. In this bill, 8% will be deducted from the pay of the employee, and the employer will be paying 17% to make a total of 25% per month.
In 2018, the World Bank said in a report that the majority of the social protection interventions in South Sudan continue to be implemented by NGOs and community-based organizations out of the national government system. And finally, before approaching stories coming from the region and the international scene, the Ministry of Health has launched the oral cholera vaccination campaigns in Pibor administrative area to prevent a possible outbreak. This follows the recent cholera outbreak in neighboring Ethiopia, close to some counties in South Sudan. Health Minister Elizabeth Achwil launched the vaccination drive in Pibor on Saturday. According to the Health Ministry, the vaccination would also prevent the waterborne disease following risks posed by flooding in the Greater Jonglei State region. Dr. John Romunu is the Director General for Preventive Health Services at the National Ministry of Health.
In Pibor administrative area, we are targeting 93,000 population. And this will continue until the whole of Pibor administrative area is covered. Oral cholera vaccination campaign already has been effected in Bor, where 71,000 population were targeted, and the second dose has already been done.
Dr. Romunu was speaking to the press yesterday. He says to prevent the cholera and other diarrheal diseases, the public should follow safety guidelines.
These include drinking and use of water that has been made safe after treating with chlorine or boiling. Always wash hands with soap and water after using latrine, before handling or eating food. Use latrines or bury feces, and do not defecate in any water body.
Cholera is a waterborne disease transmitted by eating food or drinking water that is contaminated with Vibrio cholera, the bacteria that causes the disease. Cholera patients present the watery diarrhea, vomiting, dehydration, abdominal pains, and muscle cramps. You are still listening to iRadio News, and now my colleague Jale Richard joins us with the international news. Hello, Jale.
Hello and good afternoon, Wajai Manuel. Beginning in Sudan, doctors there say more than 80 people have been killed in 2 days of fighting between rival ethnic groups in the Darfur region. Hundreds more have been injured during the unrest in El Geneina. A nearby camp for displaced people was also attacked during the worst violence since a peace deal was signed last October. International peacekeepers began a phased withdrawal from Darfur earlier this month. Sudan's government says it's sending reinforcements to the area to protect civilians. Elsewhere, rescuers say that 12 miners trapped underground after an explosion in a Chinese gold mine a week ago are still alive. State media reports the workers managed to send a note to rescuers 7 days after the accident. The fate of another 10 miners missing after the explosion remains unclear. Mining accidents in China are not uncommon and are often due to poorly enforced safety regulations. And finally, a group of US-bound Central American migrants has been met with truncheons and tear gas in Guatemala, where security forces blocked their path. Thousands of people were intercepted on a road near the border with Honduras on Sunday. The government said it would not accept illegal mass movements. President-elect Joe Biden has vowed to end the strict immigration policies of his predecessor, Donald Trump. But the Biden administration, which will take office on Wednesday, has warned migrants not to make the journey as immigration policies will not change overnight. Those are the latest stories making headlines in the international scene. And back to you, Wajai Manuel.
Thank you, Jolly Richard. And now joins me, Kelly Abale, with the latest sports news.
Thank you. A look onto sports stories making headlines this afternoon. South Sudan Cup defending champions Al Rabita Football Club will kickstart their defense over the title against Al Merreikh Football Club in the 2021 Juba Local Football Association South Sudan Cup. This was revealed as the local FA released fixtures for the tournament yesterday in Juba. In other games, First Division giants Qatar FC and Amarat United Football Club have been paired together. The opening fixture of the knockout tournament pits Al Hilal FC against Zara FC and will be played on Sunday 24th January 2021 at Bulu Playground. The winner of this tournament shall represent Juba Local Football Association at the National Championship. Lionel Messi was shown the first red card over his Barcelona career as they were beaten 3-2 by Athletic Bilbao in the Spanish Super Cup final. Messi, in his 753rd appearance for Barcelona, swung at Asia Wilber in the final second of extra time, an incident spotted by the video assistant referee. Barcelona led twice through Antonio Griezmann, but Oscar de Marcos and Wilber in the final minute scored as Athletic replied each time. Inca Williams scored a fine winner. Antonio Conte guided Inter Milan to victory against his former club Juventus as the Nazzuris moved level on points with AC Milan at the top of Serie A. Arturo Vidal's headed first half opener was his first top-flight goal in Italy for almost 6 years, having last scored for Juventus in May 2015. Nicole Bellara, who created the first, made it 2 with a fine run and finish. Champions Juventus were laxtra at the San Siro and remain 5th on the table standing. Finally, in the world of sports this afternoon, John Stones scored twice for Manchester City as Pep Guardiola's resurgent title challengers cruised past Crystal Palace to go second in the Premier League. Hours after Liverpool and leaders Manchester United shared a goalless draw, City capitalized to move within 2 points over top spot with their 5th successive league victory. Stones opened the scoring with a header from Kevin De Bruyne's delightful cross as the Belgium made it 100 assists in all competitions since joining the club in 2015. The hosts were already in complete control when Ike Gundogan added a superb second from the edge of the box shortly after the break. That's all we had for you in the world of sports this afternoon. Thanks for listening. My name is Kelly Abale.
Thank you, of course, Kelly Abale with the sports news, and that brings us to the end of this afternoon bulletin, but here is the recap of our main stories. At least 7 people have reportedly been killed by an armed man in Paluch area of Upper Nile State on